Hello guys, and welcome back to another Tweaker Man video. So this is a video where we're going to be doing the restoration work on the Tannoy M20 Golds. So what we've got to do first of all is mask up the front baffles. Now we're going to keep the front baffles black because we can't get this Tannoy sticker slash badge off the front of it because it's stuck on there and it's going to ruin them. We want to keep that. So we're going to be just the sides and the front lip along here are going to be stripped and polished in a different colour, and we're going to keep the front baffles black, and at the back we're going to keep the back of them black as well. So I'm going to crack on now and get the front and the backs masked up, and then we'll be back and I'll show you that then. So we now have the two cabinets masked up back and front. So what we're going to be doing is starting the stripping process now. So this is my apprentice and my son, Charlie. He's a bit disappointed today because our football team got relegated to League Two. And it was to do with the owner. He tends to underfund the club, but we won't go into that. It might upset Charlie, so we'll leave that. We'll just keep stripping this for the minute. There we go, look at that. It's coming off nice. Now I'm going to show you the product we used to do this. Now, this is a proper paint stripper. It's not the environmental friendly stuff that don't work. Unfortunately, they banned paint stripper from being used. You can't buy it in a DIY store. You have to get this from a supplier, Morell's or WS Jenkins in Tottenham in London. So this is restricted to industrial use in the UK. But you can still buy it, you can still purchase it, and this is how it works. So I'm going to leave Charlie to crack on with this, and I'll show you a bit more of it as he makes progress. Right, so we've got the cabinet all stripped. We've done that one as well over there. All we're going to do is just neutralise the surface of it with methylated spirits. It just kills off any stripper that's on the surface of it. Just give it a good old wash over all round, and then we're going to do some repairs to the bit that's damaged at the bottom there. So we'll be doing that, and that'll be it. So we've now stripped down the cabinets, sanded them, and now we're going to do some filling work. So this piece here is really damaged there. So what we want to do is fill it. So this is what we're going to be using, which is a 2-pack. So what we'll be doing is we're filling this, and then afterwards we shall paint the graining on this like false grain. And this is the hardener there. So this is something called Isopon, and this is benzoyl peroxide paste. Okay, and it's very good for filling big areas. It's basically the same product as what a car filler is, what you use for car body repairs, but they just colour it differently for wood. So this is just a natural colour, but I don't bother worrying about colours because I usually false grain over the top of it, which I'll show you how to do that once we get onto the polishing of it. So you mix it up thoroughly like so, and then what we're going to do now is we just pull it down like onto the surface there. Okay, we've got quite a bit there to fill because it's a really large part, so it may take a couple of attempts to get it really good. Right, so I shall leave that to dry now, and then I'll be back soon. So I filled the front edge there that was damaged, if you can see that. There was a couple of other little bits on here that I filled, some corners that were knocked. So what I've been doing this morning is well, I stripped and stained these chairs up. So what we're going to be using for this, we're going to use the same stain because I've got plenty of it there. It's Van Dyke Crystals, which is a crystal. It's basically crystals that you dissolve in water, and it's a dark brown colour there, sort of almost like a dark oak colour. So I'm going to do that finish on these because there's lots of black in the grain still, and it'll probably more keep in with what he's got in his flat there. So as I said, I kept the front baffles black because these fitments there wouldn't come out very well without breaking them, and I've seen lots of these speakers and the front baffle tends to be black and the rest of the cabinet is a colour. So we're just going to do that. So I'm going to show you the staining now. Right, okay, you need a glove on for this because this really, look at my hands, it gets into your hands. So we're going to put that onto the surface now. There we go. We're going to get a nice sort of, it gives you a ready tinge to it. And obviously the front, the filler there that we put on the front there, I'm going to have to colour in separately afterwards. So that's what it's going to look like. So I'm going to carry on staining it and I'll come back. Right, okay, so we've got them stained up and we're going to be using some button polish on these cabinets. This is a traditional French polish. Okay, this is a North African lac fly dissolved in alcohol. So all we do is we're using an open rubber. So it's just a bit of stockinette rag. Okay, you've seen me do this before in other videos. And all we're going to do is we just start at the top there, and we just flow over the piece like so. And we can come onto the top edge there, go all around the top edge. Now you can see that bit there where I've repaired it, which we're going to be doing a bit of false grain in a minute, which I'll show you how to do that as well. And then, but we've got to build a few coats up first so the grain comes out a bit more. Now when you go to the edge, just flow it off the edge, because what will happen is otherwise you'll get, it will snag over and have a bit of a snotty bit on the underneath. So you need to sort of flick it up at the edges as you go around. And then the last one here, this side here, flick that up. So what I'm going to do is Charlie's going to be polishing these, so I'm going to get a few coats on there first of all for him, and then he's going to carry on with them, and then we'll come back and show you what they look like. But after a few coats I need to do the false grain on there, which I'll show you how to do. So we're going to start doing the colouring in now. So we've got loads of different powdered colours here. They're called earth pigments. And what we're going to do is we just get a bit of polish into our, and then I sort of guess stuff a lot of the time because I've been doing it a hell of a long time, and to me that looks very similar colour, but you don't know until you start flowing it on the surface, you see. So what we're going to do is just get our brush and flow it on the surface like so. What we have to do is build up several layers of it, because what you want to do is give it depth. Right, okay, so now we'll come out to this side here. Right, okay, we'll leave that to dry for a minute. So now we're using some drop black, okay, because the grain's black. So we want to imitate a bit of black grain now. So again, we just put that in there, and then we mix some black in with it. Bit more. And then what we're going to do now is, you see the grain, it sort of swells round like that. So we want to flick it over like that, and then just drag it with your finger a bit. And then there isn't a piece just there, we just drag that over like that. Over like that, and then just I'll get another bit going over the front there like that. Okay, then we're going to come around to this side here, and on there we've got lots of grain there, so we want to just drag it over very slightly. Just to give it that look like there's grain there. Right, okay, a bit more on it. Right, that should do it. And then we're going to then start doing some more polishing on it. Right, so Charlie is learning from the old man. I've been French polishing now for 36 years. So, very nice job, Charlie. Keep going. So we've left the polish to dry now for around about 6 hours. Now we're going to flat back with some 1000 grit. All we're going to do is just take the high spots off where the grain rises slightly, and then we'll wipe it over and we'll start polishing the top coats. So we're finishing off the last coats on these. They've had around about 50 coats. And then what we're going to be doing tomorrow is, once they've dried overnight, we're going to be giving a wild woolen wax finish, so it gives it a satin look to it. Takes this horrible sticky shine off, and then it will really look really marvellous. A lovely smooth and silky finish. So these have come up really nice. As I say, this sort of finishing is very high end. It's not like a spray finish. This is all done by hand. It takes a meticulous amount of coats to get it to the level that it is. So that's it. So we'll be leaving it overnight, and then we'll be back in the morning. Right, so we've finished polishing these speakers, and they've been left to dry overnight. As you can see, there's the finish on them, but we're going to dull them down with some wire wool, which is 4/0 wire wool. And there you can see the front there. Well, I repaired it all and polished it all in and filled it. Look at that, it's a fabulous job. So my son Charlie's going to be doing this now. Right, so Charlie's going to start showing you how to wire wool now. All we do is dull the whole surface down, and then we buff it back up with wax, and it gives you a nice satin look. So we'll come back and show you it once it's done. So we've flatted all the cabinets back. They're nice and smooth now. So you can see that the dull, it's gone dull. We've taken the shine off. So now we're just going to bring back a satin shine by putting a black wax on there. It will just give it a very slight sheen to it. We don't want to put too much sheen on it, because it's meant to look like a satin finish or a semi-matte finish. And then we just buff it up. And I'll show you on the angle in a minute. You buff it up like that, and you get another clean piece of cloth and buff it up again. And then when you look on the profile now, you see it's more like a semi-matte finish. Like, it's beautifully and smooth. So I'm going to crack on with the rest of them. I'll show you both of them once they're done. Right, a little trick. Once you've polished over the masking tape, you don't really want to pull it off without just running a blade along the edge, because what will happen is otherwise you want to just break. There's going to be a slight seal there now, and you don't really want any masking tape to stay on the surface. It's going to be awkward. So there, all you do is you just peel this off now, like so. There we go. Look at that. It's all come off nice and cleanly. Look at that seamless join now. See, you see, it's still got a little bit there that's come off there, like so. There you go. So you just need to just get a blade under there and just remove those bits up. But there we go. That's a perfect job. A little bit there. Right. So here we have both of the cabinets fully finished. Look at that lovely luster on there, gorgeous. And this was the front that was all damaged. Look at that, it's really come up well. So he should be really happy with these. So the next project is we're going to stick some foam on the inside of the walls. We've got so much foam in here, it'd be ridiculous not to utilise some of it. So we're going to put a thin piece of foam just to dampen the edges of the walls. It's because this job is done on a budget, really. We was going to put some bitumen on it, but seeing as we've got the foam there, it will still dampen the cabinet to a certain extent. And then over that, we're going to be putting our wall insulation. So we'll be back and show you how to do that soon.